Folks, we are back after the All-Star break, and it's time to lock back in with 10 players you need to add to your fantasy baseball teams, like Luis Robert, who's been picking up his play of late, and Zebby Matthews, who is back from the IL. Those names and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominick Martino, riding solo today, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, once again, make sure you subscribe. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify, that allows 5-star ratings and reviews. We would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And lastly, and what's going to put you over the edge in your fantasy baseball league, help you win one of those Locked On Fantasy Baseball championships, join Matt and I on the Insider's Track. We're going to get so much more than we offer in these 30-minute episodes. The link is in the bio if you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And all right, guys, coming out of the All-Star break, it's been a long week for a lot of us. If you play in those leagues where the All-Star break stretches out into one really, really long week, which is my favorite way to do it, because if you get that little short week and then it just doesn't wind up working out right? So we're finishing up hopefully this week strong. And I got 10 names going into next week that you're going to need to add to your fantasy baseball teams. And the first one, man, when I saw his ownership percentage, I almost didn't believe it, right? It's Luis Robert of those Chicago White Sox. And, man, he's been having a tough season. I can't lie. He has not been having a good go of it. But he's been turning around his play of late, and he is a big-time trade candidate. Last time I checked in on what's going on with him, there was at least, I heard, 8 teams interested in Luis Robert, right? So if Robert gets out of that, bad situation and Chicago gets into a good situation, any team that's contending, the Dodgers are always in it, Yankees, Mets, whoever, all those big-time teams, that if he gets on any of those rosters and is hitting any of the middle of those lineups, it's going to be good times. It's going to be good times. Luis Robert, since June 11th, has been on a nice little 6-game hit streak. On June 11th, doubleheader. Homered in that one, 2 RBIs. Had a nice little 1-for-4 game on July 13th with an RBI. On July 18th, went 2 for 2, 3 runs, a home run, 2 RBIs, and a steal. On July 19th, he went 2 for 4 with 3 runs, a steal, and an RBI. And July 20th, he went 1 for 4 with a run and a steal. So with Luis Robert starting to heat back up, he has 10 home runs and 24 steals, make it 25 steals on the season. He's hitting 201. So he's not having a good year. But I really think there's a light at the end of this tunnel. Luis Robert's a great baseball player. You kind of just don't lose the talent, overnight, especially with a guy like Robert. I think he wants to change the scenery. I think he's going to be motivated once he gets out there. I don't think he's going to get past the All-Star break on this team. And he's still only 27 years old. Luis Robert's been around for a while now, but 6 years to be exact. But it's only 27. I really think there's a better player in there, man. It's surprising to see that he's only a career 258 hitter. But Robert had a nice stretch from 2021 to 2023 where he had 338, 284, 264. There's a good bat in this kid. And I believe last time I checked, up to 66% owned on Yahoo. He's up over 2% over the weekend here as I'm recording on Sunday night. But still way too lowly owned. Go out there and check if Luis Robert's out there in your league. And he's a must-add for me because he could be a league winner in the second half if you're just able to go out there and pick him up off the waiver wire for free. I'd even say this. I'd go out there and shoot out a trade. I'd talk to the Luis Robert owner and see if you can go out there. You might be able to get him for pennies on the dollar, to be honest, because the owner might be frustrated. They might have found a better solution at outfield. They might be willing to give him up. They might need some pitching or help in, their infield, something like that. I'd go out there and see if I can get that deal done because once Luis Robert is in a new uniform, I think it's going to unlock that old version of him where we're going to see a lot of power, can steal bases. And I think that batting average comes up, man. Luis Robert's a better hitter than even the 258 he hits on his career. Definitely better than the 201 he's hit in the 81 games he's played this season. So for me personally, I'm going out there getting Luis Robert wherever I can. I'm adding him in any leagues. Post the podcast if he's out there. Must add for me personally. Let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about Willi Castro. I feel like we talked about him maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Kind of had a feeling he was going to get hot. He has been heating up. I picked him up in a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks ago myself. Still only 50% owned for Willi Castro. He has second, third, short, and outfield eligibility on Yahoo. On the season, Willi Castro has played 76 games, 263 batting average, 43 runs, 10 homers, 27 RBIs, 8 steals. He's chipping in power. He's chipping in steals. 43 runs through 76 games isn't bad. He's hitting second in this Minnesota lineup. Had a nice little 3-for-4 game on July 12th where he homered, had 3 RBIs, 2 runs. Had a 1-for-5 game on the 18th, 3 RBIs in that. Couple 1-for-4 games over his last 2 runs here on July 20th as I'm recording. But he hasn't been bad, man. And it's a nice little Swiss Army knife. He doesn't have to be tied into starting at any position specifically on your team. Could move him around, especially when, obviously only when you're playing those daily lineup changes leagues. I just like me Willi Castro. I feel like we know who he is. And he's not killing you anywhere. I mean, he's not great for batting average, right? But he is helping you at least a little bit everywhere else. And he's not there to be a main cog. If you guys remember, like the Michael Kadires, the Michael Youngs, the guys like that you just took him off your bench. It makes me sound old now. But, you take him off your bench, you just plug him in, guy gets hurt. It's just really great because you don't need him to be amazing at any one category, but if he's chipping in a home run every once in a while, a steal, he's not hurting you in batting average. I think Willi Castro is just a fun guy to have on your team because, like I said, it's never hurting you to have a plug-and-play guy, especially at positions like second and outfield that have not been great this year. I know shortstop, we've been finding guys here and there. But I like Willi Castro, and even like I said, over the last 30 days for Willi Castro. He's got 3 homers, 5 steals, 10 runs, 10 RBIs, 208 batting average over that time. So it hasn't been amazing, but he's been good enough. There's better days ahead, and then even Willi Castro in his career. I know he's been at least decent in the batting average department. Bear with me 1 second as my internet has not been great here tonight. 250 hitter, right? So, and he hit, he had 260 in 2023. So you're really here more for the steals, power combo, and, the runs because Castro has been hitting second. So, yeah, he's helping in 3 out of the 5 categories. And like I said, it's more of a plug and play thing anyway. Let's sneak one more guy in here. Let's sneak one more guy in before we take a little break here. Let's talk about my boy. He's back, Ezequiel Tovar. We had him on the Stash episode a couple weeks back. He's off the IL. And look, at July 19th already, he didn't play here on the 20th, but July 19th, the kid Tovar went 3-for-4 with a home run, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs, a home run, 3 RBIs for Tovar on July 19th. Here's the thing, man. This kid's really good. Ezequiel Tovar was a top prospect. He can hit for batting average. He's got a lot of speed. There's going to be power here in Coors. I think he gets into a good spot in this lineup faster than not. He had 5th and 6th his first 2 games back. But Tovar's too good to be left on waiver wires. He's 46% owned right now on Yahoo. There's just so much upside. Let's do this. Let's talk about what this kid Tovar has done in his minor league career because he hasn't had too much time in the majors. So I don't really want to judge him too hard, even though he's been, like I said, pretty solid this year, hitting 272 through his 34 games with 4 homers and 2 steals, 16 runs, 13 RBIs. He's just a jack of all trades, really a guy. He's like Willi Castro. If Willi Castro was, a little bit better at everything, right? So in the minors, we'll do 2024, right, for Ezequiel Tovar. He played 157 games in the minors in 2024. He had 83 runs. He had 45 doubles, 4 triples, 26 homers, 78 RBIs, 6 steals, and he hit 269. And there's speed. He's stolen over 20 bags in the minors before. He's stolen 17, twice 16. So Tovar's fairly quick. I think the power it can get over 25 home runs, not for the rest of the season, but the pacing could be a 25 home run type pace. Like I said, Tovar is a must add for me, man. Luis Robert and Tovar shouldn't really be out there in too many leagues. Tovar being 46% owned on Yahoo has to do a lot with being hurt so far this year. And if you guys listened to the stash episode a couple weeks back when I talked about Tovar, I said there's two outcomes here, right? It's that Tovar takes off and, he winds up being great down the stretch and helping all of us get to fantasy glory. And he's going to cost a lot next year. Or he doesn't, right? He struggles, the injuries linger, and then we get him super cheap next year. Either way, it works out because I have Tovar in a couple of leagues, but I would really like to get him later next year, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tovar is just going to take off, and we're going to have to pay up for him a little bit come draft time in 2026. But before we move on and talk about guys like Austin Hayes and move into the pitching portion of this episode when we talk Zebby Matthews, Quinn Priester, and more, those names coming up next. And all right, here, guys, let's talk about my friends over at Supply House. Guys, you need to get the, supplies made for the skilled trades, and that's Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for those trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off. And once again, you're going to do all of that on supplyhouse.com. And all right, folks, before we jump back in, just one more thing. If you're struggling in your fantasy league, and even if you're doing great and you just need that little extra thing that you think is going to help you win your fantasy league, give Matt and I the chance on the Insider's Track. Through the Insider's Track, when we do these waiver wire episodes like I'm doing today, we're going to rank these guys for you and tell you how you should prioritize them when you're picking them up and give them a few extra stats that we couldn't get in the episode. And then my favorite thing, and which is going to help you guys so much, is when those prospects called up, the Bubba Chandlers, maybe the Kevin McGonagalls, and those guys, you're going to get those instant call notifications going through a text message alert right to your phone. Nobody else in the industry is offering that. So once again, check us out in the Insider Track. The link is available in our bio, social media platforms, and anywhere you'd be able to find it. It's going to be there. So check us out once again. And all right, guys, let's keep things pushing here. Let's talk about Luke Keaschall of those Minnesota Twins. He's on his way back from injury. And listen, man, young kid, got some pop in that bat, and honestly could be, one of those difference makers down the stretch. Got off to a really hot start. Through his first 7 games played in the bigs, 368 batting average, 4 runs, no homers, 2 RBIs, and 5 steals. He's getting close, man. Could have been on a stash episode, but at 19% owned, and the kid has some prospect pedigree. Really wanted to get out and mention him now because he's in the final stages of recovery. Fractured that forearm back in April. He's 22 years old. He was a top prospect. Could be, as you guys are listening Monday, we could be hearing that he's getting ready to be on his way back. And a kid like this that has pop, has speed, has a pretty good track record down in the minors. I want him. And then the eligibility is great. First, second, and outfield on Yahoo. I love that. And once again, that's Luke Keaschall of those Minnesota Twins, man. And once again, like we did with Tovar, this kid was a big time prospect. So let's kind of talk about what he had done in the minors before getting, the call to the bigs this year, as the 22-year-old. And you don't really see that, kids getting, making the roster, like he did. I know we've seen it a little bit more of late, but kind of speaks to, the caliber of player he is. Let's talk about what he did in 2024 in the minors, right? It was 103 games played, 379 at-bats, 80 runs, 21 doubles, a triple, 15 homers, 48 RBIs, 23 steals. Has a good eye at the plate, too, because he had 62 walks to 80 strikeouts, and he hit 303. I mean, even through the whole minor league system, he's hit over, 290 almost every time, to be exact, 288. The kid, like I said, could steal bases, has a season with over 30 bags, and that was in 57 games. Has pop as well, can hit them home runs. Luke Keaschall, I think, is going to be a difference maker down the stretch. And I'll spell that last name out for you. It's Luke. Last name is spelled Keaschall. So once again, another kid, got some good bats onto these episodes, to be honest with you. And I think Luke Keaschall is, closer near the top, to be honest with you, like right behind Luis Robert for me, to be honest, because this kid could be big time down the stretch. Let's keep it pushing, though. Let's get into this next guy. Let's talk about some Austin Hayes of those Cincinnati Reds. Just another guy that's been heating up. Hayes, I feel like, has been a darling of these waiver wire episodes this season. At 21% owned, getting those numbers looking really good on the year, hitting 290 actually through 49 games, 34 runs, 10 homers, 40 RBIs, 2 steals. And he's only, like, I think I said it already, but I'm saying again, 21% owned here for Austin Hayes, and has been good of late, hitting 4th in this Reds lineup. On June 10th, he went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. I don't know if I said June that first, I meant July 10th. July 10th, 2 for 3, 3 RBIs. July 12th, 2 for 3 again with an RBI. July 13th, 2 for 4 with an RBI. July 18th, 2 for 3 with 2 home runs that day, 2 runs, 3 RBIs. So Austin Hayes here heating up, those 5 outfielder leagues, those NL onlys. Maybe even your deep 12s, Austin Hayes is key. He can play right now while he's getting this done. Not somebody I believe in long term. And, like I said, he's been a darling of these episodes because Austin Hayes is I'm not mad if you're, picking him up and, hold him for 2 weeks while he's hot, and then you go out there and grab the next guy. Not mad at that at all. This is the kind of player you're going to do that with. But while Austin Hayes is hitting the middle of this Reds lineup, he's going to drive in RBIs. He's going to hit you some home runs here and there. And the batting average is nice. So while he's keeping it up, I want to go out there and I'm going to get Austin Hayes on my teams. So like I said, we're going to move into the pitcher portion of this podcast. And this next name might be a little bit controversial, especially after the way he pitched this weekend. Zebby Matthews. I know, guys. I feel like every fantasy baseball podcast, maybe even every regular baseball podcast, has hyped up Zebby Matthews all year long, and he's been very disappointing. He went out there on July 19th against Colorado, was in Coors, gave up 5 runs, struck out 6 over 4 innings. And, man, it's tough. It's tough. Zebby Matthews, through his 5 starts in the big, 6.26 ERA, 1.61 whip, 23 innings pitched, 31 strikeouts. But there's got to be better days ahead, man. Zebby Matthews has good stuff, good track record. We're going to do the same thing, we did with other, younger players. We'll talk about what Zebby has done in the minors and why he just looks so promising. Let's go back to even this year in the minors. Zebby Matthews has been great. Zebby in the minors this year, 8 starts, 1.72 ERA, 36 innings, 47 strikeouts, a 109 whip. We could even go back to last year and talk about what Zebby Matthews did in the minors last year. 17 starts, a 2.60 ERA, 97 innings, 114 strikeouts, an 0.86 whip. I think he's got to figure something out, whether it's mechanics, whether he's tipping pitches. There's something off with Zebby in the bigs, whether it's the jitters, man. He just might have that major league jitters, to be honest with you, because the pitches aren't moving the way they should. He's obviously getting the strikeouts, but I mean, when he's not getting the ground balls the way we need him to. He's 6'5", and he's not getting enough extension. He's not getting that ball out as far enough. Kind of makes me think it might be an arm slot kind of thing here. His fastball, which sits 97, is getting hit at a 406 batting average, and he throws that 44% of the time. So as much as Zebby Matthews has not been good so far, I think we need to I think we need to zig when others are zagging here with Zebby Matthews. Looks like he lines up in his next one, could be coming this weekend against the Nationals. Not a super tough start. Get past James Wood and CJ Abrams, and there's not so much else going on there. So I want to add Zebby Matthews, man. At least I want to give him a couple more starts if the Twins are willing to do it, because Bailey Ober is going to be on his way back. Another guy, hey, listen, stash him if he's out there in your leagues. But Zebby Matthews at 21% owned. I'm at least adding him for this next start this upcoming weekend and seeing where the thing goes. But before we move on and wrap this episode up with names like Quinn Priester, Daniel Palencia, Robert Garcia, and a couple other names and more coming up next. And all right, guys, I want to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting, right? You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are sunburned at the beach. And guys, this is the best time of year to do that, right? I've been using the FanDuel app personally to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm a part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 on bonus bets if your first bet wins. So, you know what we need to do now? Open up that FanDuel app today, or you can even visit the FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on, to get that promo code in there, and you're going to get started today. And all right, guys, got a few more names that we're going to get through here, so let's keep going and let's talk about what Quinn Priester has been doing here of late. And listen, he's been another guy who's been on and off the, waiver wire episodes of late, the past couple of months, and he was dominant in his last start. Quinn Priester went out there against the Dodgers on July 18th, pitched 6 strong innings, got the win, no earned runs, 10 strikeouts, 0.5 whip, quality start. And Quinn Priester's just been good this year, man. 13 starts, 8 wins, 3.33 ERA, 1.20 whip, 94 innings, 80 strikeouts, and he's only 43% rostered on Yahoo. He gets a nice matchup in Seattle on Wednesday. Listen, he can work that lineup. He can work Seattle easily, and I kind of want to see who he gets after that, because Quinn Priester's kind of a hold for me right now. 1, 2, 3. Cubs. He gets the Cubs after that, but then it looks like the Nationals after the Cubs. So I'll take that Cubs matchup in between, in Seattle and Washington, because I like what Quinn Priester's been putting down this year, man. Made some changes. Love him over in Milwaukee, man. He's still fairly young. At 24 years old, was a pretty highly touted prospect. Not super high end, but high end enough. The underlying stuff doesn't look great. The pitches, the breaking stuff's getting nice movement. The fastball, meh. But he's not really mainly a fastball guy. He's getting good amount of ground balls. Not really barreling them up too well. Some of the underlying stuff doesn't look super sexy, but you know what? He's a guy, that sinker only getting hit at a 256 clip. The slider is secondary pitch, getting hit at a 180 clip. The cutter, as we were talking about earlier, not getting great results on that. A 319 batting average against the cutter, but it's his third pitch, only throwing that 17% of the time. Maybe I'd throw it a little bit less, to be honest with you, because even his curveball is getting pretty good results. Throws that 8% of the time. That's only a 103 batting average against that. You could kind of see Quinn Priester's working working out the kinks. He's starting to figure this thing out, and at 24 years old, he's working great here in Milwaukee. So at 43% owned on Yahoo, I'd change that. I'd add Quinn Priester. He's down 8% over the weekend, and that's shocking after that great Dodger start. And then he has the upcoming start in Seattle. Love that for Quinn Priester. Honestly, a must add for me. Get Quinn Priester on your team for at least this next week here. Let's move on to a closer. Another situation. Guy's been on the waiver wire episode a couple of times this season. Figured he would have been more highly owned. It's Daniel Palencia, closer for the Chicago Cubs, having a career season. 34 appearances this year for Palencia, 13 saves, a 1.53 ERA, an 0.88 whip, 35 innings pitched, 39 strikeouts, and he got the save. Last save, he got 3 saves in a row on July 12th, July 13th, and July 18th. So it's not 3 in a row. It was 2 before the All-Star break, and then got the one coming out of the All-Star break. So I'm counting it, right? So it's still technically 3 in a row. And Palencia's been great, 50% owned on Yahoo. You need a closer, and he's out there. Must add for me for Palencia. Not really much else to say because the kid's just been fantastic, and I just can't understand. I don't know how much more I got to talk you guys into the closer for the Chicago Cubs, one of the better teams in all of baseball, right? And all the underlying stuff points up. The kid, throws 100 miles an hour, getting a lot of whiffs, strikeouts, not a lot of barrels, gets good extension for a guy that's only 5'11", getting great movement on all of his pitches. All of his pitches are the not getting hit, that 4-seam fastball, which I said sits about 100, batters hitting 151 against that. His secondary pitch, his slider, batters are hitting 226 against that. And then he throws a split finger every once in a while too, and nobody's even touched that one yet. So if you needed any more evidence on Daniel Palencia and that he's just been really good this year, there it goes. And once again, man, 13 saves, 34 appearances, sub-2 ERA, sub-1 whip, over a K per 9. Kid's been fantastic. So go out there and grab Daniel Palencia. And if you missed out on Palencia, right, and you're still looking for a closer, I got one more for you. Let's talk about Robert Garcia, closer for those Texas Rangers. And listen, man, not a great spot out there in Texas. They have been mixing and matching a little bit, but Robert Garcia got the last save, which came on July 18th. Was it a save opportunity the day after? Bear with me as I look into it because it might not have. Okay, no save opportunity there. So good news on Garcia. Still here. Maybe as the number 1 option there in Texas. You don't really know because Garcia's been solid, but not great on the season. 43 appearances for Robert Garcia, a win, 7 saves, 2.87 ERA, 1.25 whip, 37 innings pitched, 40 strikeouts. Hasn't been bad, 17% owned on Yahoo. It's kind of just like a dart throw for some saves at the moment, to be honest with you. Don't love him. Don't think he's the answer in the back of your bullpen like Daniel Palencia might be, because Daniel Palencia has been fantastic this year. Not really much else to say about Robert Garcia. I think I'm just going to move on to this last guy. If you missed out on Palencia and you just need to get yourself a closer at 17% owned, Robert Garcia is widely available. He's got 7 saves on the year. Got the last one out there for Texas, those Rangers anyway. But let's move into our last guy. Of the episode. Another guy. I feel like we've been covering some guys here, but you know what? They should be more highly owned. So let's talk about Frankie Montas, Frankie Montas Jr., if you will, of those New York Mets. He gets those Angels. On July 22nd, which I think is Tuesday. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was good his last time out against Kansas City. 5 innings, got the win, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 0.8 whip. And don't forget, he's coming back from injury. Had 2 really bad starts between his first and his last. He got rocked by Atlanta and the Yankees. But, hey, listen, at least Montas, he handled his own in his first start against Atlanta. Numbers don't look so bad through his first 4 starts. It is over a 5 ERA, but it comes with a 1.17 whip, 19 innings pitched, and 17 strikeouts, right around that K per 9. And it's a cushy matchup. You get past Mike Trout in this Angels lineup, and even Taylor Ward is slowed down, and my boy Rengifo, as much as I love him, not too much of a threat for Frankie Montas. And Montas could go out there, shock us, and have like a 10 strikeout game, 7 innings, and be really good. And he's only 8% owned on Yahoo. Frankie Montas is. So I'd go out there and at least snag him for that one. I don't think Montas is a long-term solution, but he's somebody who has been good in the past. So I wouldn't be shocked if Montas has a nice little finish to the season. After the Angels, it looks like he's at San Diego, or maybe San Fran, depending on how it works out. We'll love it if he's in San Fran because that'd be two nice little matchups in a row. But if it's at San Diego, that's going to be a little bit tougher for a guy like Montas. But you know what, guys? I'm going to call things there. And you know what? Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And for your second listen, go check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You're going to get that local analysis on a national scale. Find that MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And once again, shout out to our everydayers and new listeners making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. So, guys, until next time, see ya.